Welcome to the Fast Mode podcast series. I'm Tara Nil, and with me today is TK Keanini, Chief Technology Officer at DNS-Filter. DNS-Filter is redefining how organizations secure their largest threat vector, the internet itself. The company makes the internet safer and workplaces more productive by blocking threats at the DNS layer, resolving upwards of 170 billion daily queries. With 79% of attacks using the domain name system DNS, DNS-Filter provides the world's fastest protective DNS powered by AI, blocking threats on average of 10 days faster than traditional threat feeds. TK leads product management, customer experience, engineering, and security intelligence toward ongoing innovation and growth, focusing on customer needs and feedback to determine product direction. He brings more than 30 years of networking and security experience to his role as CTO. TK joins us as part of our exclusive editorial segment on generative AI for network management. Welcome, TK. Great to have you on today's episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, awesome. So, can you give us an overview of DNS-Filter and how it leverages DNS queries to stop cyber attacks and cyber threats?
Yeah, so the domain name system, or DNS, is a technology that is foundational to the internet. So what makes it really special in this particular role of being a filter is no matter where you are or what device you're on, or whether you're a human or a machine, there's an opportunity for DNS to block, to actually prohibit you to go to someplace dangerous, or maybe to go to a place that is against policy. So it's in a perfect position actually to perform this function, and we can do this at scale across the global internet.
So, as regular users of the internet, how many people do you think are aware that there's something called DNS, along the pathway? Because, honestly speaking, even I wasn't I wasn't that aware of that until I came into this area.
Yeah, no, it's doing its role, which is it's such a fundamental layer. It shouldn't be it's not the lead singer, you know. It's like the backup band. It's really foundational.
Okay.
Humans are just better at remembering names, right? Computers are better at remembering numbers, and the two worlds come together with DNS. So the domain name system, you probably know Google as
Yeah.
www.google.com. Well, there's a
Yes.
series of addresses that computers want to know that Google as, and you don't have to think like a computer so that, yeah, it's the ubiquity of that makes it just so beautiful.
And while we are on the topic of cyber threats and cyber attacks, right? Among all the other security tools, what is the specific role of DNS filtering? I mean, you just told us, like, basically it identifies and detects the underlying, websites, where people are intending to go without sometimes them knowing that probably there's a really malicious site out there. So, how does it fare in terms of, the artillery of security tools that probably an enterprise uses?
Right. I think you said the right thing. You used the word tools in plural, and that is actually fair. Meaning, while DNS probably has the first opportunity to keep you out of danger. I mean, think about it. You're basically one click away from being compromised. On any day of the week.
Yes, yes,
so
yes,
so for
yes.
for that, I would say, we have a first opportunity. If we already know these sites are malicious, then we should block it, right? Whether you clicked on it today or next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, but after that, I mean, there might be something that you have to do with identity. Maybe how you authenticate into a system. That's not us, right? So that's another set of tools, and maybe something that has to do with your data privacy. That actually isn't us, right? So it's sort of an assortment of tools that everybody has to use to stay just a marginally one step ahead of the adversary. That's really what the strategy should be. Is you should just be too expensive today to pursue.
And like you pointed out earlier, about the scalability, because basically every query will go through DNS filtering. So does that also mean that the DNS filter is a powerful intelligence tool? It basically knows who's going where, at what time,
It
for how
has to.
many times?
It has to be. I mean, it has to be on a couple of fronts, which is we want to be as accurate as we can in blocking you from things that are just globally harmful. Okay, but then you might get down to an organizational level, and it might be not necessarily the global threats that they are concerned about. They know that their employees have to do a certain job, and maybe they shouldn't go to gambling sites. So, I mean, there's thousands of them. Like nobody wants to do that in a manual process. Leave it up to us. We will categorize that, and with one check of the box, if you say, gambling sites are prohibited, then when somebody goes to a gambling site, whether they intend to or not, it'll get blocked. So that, again, that's coming down to more of a local policy, but we have to be pretty accurate. Like when we scan the internet and qualify all these sites and do all that, that intelligence drives how we categorize and to the precision that we can categorize. A lot of that uses AI and things that help us scale to a global footprint.
So how fast do you guys incorporate a new threat related site or an application? How fast from it being born? How fast do you guys detect those sites?
Well, we are milliseconds away from knowing when something brand new gets popped up because we take
Wow.
in feeds. So
All
let's
right.
say let's say for instance you had a policy that said you don't want any of your employees or maybe your family members to visit any new domain that hasn't been on the internet for more than 2 days. But that would be a
Okay. All
policy,
right.
right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
that
Yeah.
that
Fair.
actually is a
Fair.
real effective one because a lot of
Yes.
these malicious sites, they're here and there in minutes. So you've just taken a whole category of threat off the board.
Oh wow, that's really powerful policy there. Basically, you're just saving everyone with just one standard rule, right?
Hmm.
What about those that have been around for like say maybe weeks, and then slowly they start turning into a malicious site? No, it originate
Yeah.
it starts with like say a harmless blog, and then slowly there's stuff going. What happens then?
Yeah. Oh, our sites get compromised, right? They get
Mm.
compromised, and they were good up until last Wednesday, and then
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
now they're not.
No,
And
they're
then
not.
and then
Yeah.
they got fixed, and now they're good again, right? So,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
No, we have to track all of those things. We have a ton of feeds coming in. We do our own scanning. We track a lot of the threat actors out there too, so we kind of know their techniques, their tools. And yeah, there really is a lot of dimensionality to essentially what you would consider, oh, it's just a simple set theory problem. I compute membership to a set. It is true, but at a bigger level, we have to have a level of precision there because all things have to be considered. And some of the stuff is really just I have to say, just a neighborhood watch thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're on the internet. We actually read these sites. We know when people get compromised. We know what sites are associated with it. And then if that threat actor, we know they're associated with these other sites, we can actually put those under suspicion too. But um, and to be honest, sometimes we get the category wrong. Sometimes we're maybe slow to move it out of that pending state. Maybe they fix the site. Trouble tickets will come in and say, "Hey, we were compromised, but we're not anymore. Could you please take us out of this category? We'll verify, and then take it out of the category."
Wow, sounds fair. Sounds fair. So, amazing. So let's move on to the other topic that we wanted to talk about today, which is AI, right? That's the big topic today. So we have this new cousin of AI, which is the generative AI. So how has generative AI enhanced DNS-based security filtering, particularly, in assisting, test automation and stuff like that?
Wow. One, I really do appreciate you calling out generative AI from the other forms of AI because I think it is the new wave of things. It doesn't discount the old AI. I still use unsupervised, machine learning and supervised machine learning, but yes, this sort of LLM based model is really transformational. I would say to say that we only use it for test automation would be a severe understatement. um,
Yeah,
at,
yeah.
at, at DNSFilter, we are a very small company. We are very much an AI first company. And so, what I would say about that is we have programs at the individual level to make sure that our individual employees are more productive than they would without generative AI. So, that's the individual. We have departmental goals. So, our marketing department, our support department, our engineering department. That's where your test automation would come in. They all have departmental goals dealing with the benefits of generative AI. So they get budget, they get to pick their tools, they get to measure their productivity. And
All
then,
right.
of course, we have the product. So there really are like three tracks sweeping through all of DNS filter, and we benefit from all of them, really.
So, elaborating a little bit more on Gen AI, one of the quick translation of its benefits would be the use of chatbots, right? So, like you pointed
Mhm.
out, at the employee level, especially, you have now chatbots assisting them, and perhaps also assisting your end customers in working with the DNS filtering tool. So, can you, share a bit on how this is done?
Yeah, it is. There's many proven techniques. One of them is using what's called a RAG system. There's all these techniques, but in the end, you want to be helpful, right? You want to deliver a utility, and you want your customer's experience to be better. Frankly, that is really what should be measured: is are you improving your customer's experience or not? Because if you're not, you're probably using the wrong tool. I don't care how shiny the technology is. So that's actually what we measure. We measure what that satisfaction is. And now, just because again scale, um, considering what we do at tier one, the tickets come in, they get triaged. Is it something to do with billing? Is it something to do with AI does a wonderful job at being able to be trained and to take that ticket into the right workflow, if you will. Um, Beyond that, there are some things I would personally say that I don't trust AI enough. Like it would be simple. I'll give you an example. Something as simple as somebody calling in saying they lost their password. Okay. And while I believe that AI could do it, I don't want AI to do it. Okay. That's something that I really need a human to be accountable for. And while I can easily automate it, I will not do that. I will raise that task up to a tier two or tier three to do because I don't want my customer to be compromised. Um, so I hope that's a good example. But yeah, it's really made an impact. I'll come back to that topic too when we start talking about how it plays for both sides, both the defender and the attacker.
Yes, yes. Okay, let's go into that. But that's the exciting one. So what if threat actors decide that they can use the same tools and then get ahead of guys like you?
Yeah, it's no longer a fair fight. Meaning, if you're not using generative AI in your defenses somehow, some way, you probably are not going to win because the attackers are using it. Now, here's what I find very interesting. I hope you do too. For a long time, there was a category of tasks that we thought humans were still better at than generative AI, even in the most latest version. And some of it has to deal with human empathy, um, things that are really human qualities. Well, recently, and I mean recently, like in the last 2 weeks, I stumbled across a technology from a company called Sesame. It's sesame.com. They have two bots. One's called Miles and one's called Myra. And you can talk to them it's been in the news, so I'll go ahead and just say try it for yourself. But talking to this AI, their goal isn't actually to be scientifically right. Their goal is to be empathetic. It's a science of empathy. So they're optimizing for something that I've just not used to machines optimizing for. Like I'll get up in the morning and just start talking to it because it's actually a really great partner to just chat with, you know, about anything I want to talk about. Now, this is what makes that dangerous. This makes it dangerous because now I have a machine that's on the same level as a human that's gaining my trust. And once it has my trust, at that point in time, I may develop something that, frankly, I shouldn't. I may, it just gets really shaky then. So I just hope it's a good example there because I find it just amazing that, songwriting, movie making, all the creative arts now it's in question, actually, whether humans hold the lead on it. And I think we'll
Exactly.
see in the next 12 months a lot more of that.
Maybe the only consolation is the fact that all these models do train on data that was produced by humans, created by humans, right? They
And
still need that.
well, and what's the difference between an old-fashioned, apprentice and master, right? I mean, an apprentice needs years of training, and
Exactly.
and and they surpass their master. This might be the same. I have goosebumps thinking about it, but I mean, this might be the same thing. It's just that the other one is in carbon form.
Yep, exactly. And it's happening at a pace that's faster than we ever expected, right? I think that's one of those things that's surprising. That out of nowhere in the last like 2-3 years, we see things like ChatGPT and all the other models, non-text based models as well. And I think that's taken everyone by surprise. And yeah, I think those are the very tools that can be used, like what you said, to convince humans or to influence our minds, basically, so that we, willingly or maybe,
Hmm.
accidentally provide information that we shouldn't be providing, right? So yep, I think that's one of the things. So what are you guys doing basically to sort of mitigate some of the risks that might crop up from the availability of these tools?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much staying in our own little swim lane. If there's something we can do from the perspective of having control over the domain name system on a bunch of machines or things like that, um, we'll definitely do our part. So we actually have, again, not that I subscribe to it, but we do have organizations that filter out uh, domain names that are associated with generative AI sites
Okay,
because
all right.
they don't actually want their employees going to certain ones. There's certain ones that are sanctioned and certain ones that aren't.
All right.
So that's again us doing our part. In the end, no matter what technique the attacker uses, there's still going to be a domain name involved. And the minute we know it's malicious, we can block. So however if it got automated, if it got clicked on by a human, or even if a malicious program went to call out for it, um, we can do our part in protecting.
All right. Okay. Well, sounds really interesting. And I guess given the sheer volume of websites that we are handling every day, right, across the world, and I think as we speak, we see new websites being registered. I guess having a powerful tool like DNS filters would really make it easy, for enterprises to safeguard their assets and also to make sure that the employees don't accidentally end up in these sites.
That's
So I
right.
think
Yeah.
I think I think great things, and that basically brings us to the end of our session today. So thank you so much, TK, for joining us and for sharing all these awesome insights.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tara.
All right, okay. And to everyone tuning in, thank you guys for listening. If you want to learn more, visit www.dnsfilter.com and follow us for more updates and insights as we continue to uncover the latest in technology and telecommunications. See you in our next session. Bye bye.